The Democrat Party, the media, and the American Marxists want to make January 6th a date that will live in infamy. They want it to be remembered like the attack on Pearl Harbor or 9/11 or the Civil War or anything of the sort, because their goal isn't really to find out how that building was breached, because if they wanted to know how the building was breached, the number one witness who'd be under oath, who'd be giving testimony, who'd have to provide her texts, her emails, and so forth and so on, will be Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. It's her job primarily to protect that building. We've had plenty of information that she was offered the National Guard from the President, that in fact some law enforcement there on the Capitol had requested National Guard, and she turned it down because she was concerned about the optics, quote unquote. She could have called in for more Capitol Police. She didn't do that. She could have asked for more Metropolitan Police, DC Metropolitan Police. She didn't do that. She didn't do anything serious, anything significant, anything effective. And so people want to know why. Republicans have been requesting, they've been sending her letters, they've asked for information from the Sergeant of Arms, whom she reports in the House, she appoints, and who reports to her. He won't provide any information to them, nothing. They've tried to get other information, she's blocked it. Meanwhile, her Politburo, her Stalinist committee, which she appointed every single member, including the two Republicans who are basically never Trumpers, who've abandoned their party for spectacular media attention. They refuse to ask for any information related to Pelosi, and they keep using the phrase that Donald Trump was derelict in his duty. And that dereliction in his duty, doing nothing when the Capitol came under attack, they say, is a crime. First of all, I've gone through the criminal code, and I don't know what they're talking about. That's number one. But they do own the Justice Department, so they're hoping. And number two, dereliction of his duty. What duty exactly? It's the duty of the House of Representatives to defend the House of Representatives. It's the duty of the Speaker of the House to ask the President of the United States for the National Guard. The President of the United States cannot do that himself. Now, we know this because over and over and over again, when the President wanted to send federal troops into Minneapolis, into Seattle, into Portland, and other places that were being burned and attacked during the Democrat Party riots of 2 summers ago, the governors refused, the mayors refused, and the President's hands were in many respects tied. We also know that when the same reprobates and rioters, the same violent Marxists, not mostly peaceful, but mostly non-peaceful, violent, were attacking Lafayette Park, burning the blocks around it, including an old church there, were attacking the White House, trying to make entry to the White House, and injured some 60 Secret Service personnel. That when Donald Trump was considering using the Anti-Insurrection Act, which had been used by many presidents in the past for a lot less serious circumstances, we know that Milley opposed it, the head of the Joint Chiefs, who was a disaster. We know that Mattis and Kelly went public and they opposed it. We know that other former generals, very political, very liberal, they opposed it too. We know the media and the Democrat Party opposed it, and they were accusing Trump of using a heavy hand, and the Attorney General Barr, and accusing him of using, tear gas and other things that he shouldn't have used. And as a footnote, he didn't order any of that. That was the Park Service that was trying to get control of Lafayette Park at the time. So the Democrats and the media opposed all of that. The establishment opposed all of that. And now they want you to believe that January 6th is the greatest threat ever in American history to our government, that they were challenging the results of the election. Gee, that's never been done. It was done in 2000 by Gore, who went to the Supreme Court. It was done on the floor of the House of Representatives, January 6th. 2001, when Democrats were challenging the election of George W. Bush. It was done in 2004 when they were challenging his re-election and claiming that John Kerry had actually won the Electoral College in a number of these states. Nobody can still figure that out. Of course, it was also done in a bigly way in 2016 when the Democrat Party, when the Biden and Obama administrations, when the FBI and the intelligence services, and of course Hillary Clinton, her campaign, and the DNC actually unleashed the greatest assault on our republic internally that we've ever seen, which was the Russia collusion lie, for which they impeached the president, for which they conducted criminal investigations, congressional investigations, for which they sought a coup, all working together. The collusion wasn't between Trump and Russia. It was between the Obama administration, the law enforcement bureaucracy in the federal government, left-wing slip-and-fall lawyers working for Perkins Coie, and the Hillary campaign and the DNC. That's where the collusion was. And for 2.5 years, they lied to us. And still to this day, the New York Times and the Washington Post won't return their Pulitzer Prizes. It is a scar forever on so-called journalism in this country, which really doesn't exist in any serious or substantive way. And so they want January 6th to be the big day. Now, January 6th, we already have this committee that has lied and leaked. This committee is like nothing we've seen before. It's like they used to have in Stalinist Russia. There is no minority represented on this committee. The majority doesn't get to pick the minority, two never-Trumpers who hate Donald Trump and his supporters and always have. You might recall Liz Cheney was one of those who pushed the propaganda that Donald Trump had supported the shooting of certain individuals overseas, and that turned out to be a huge lie. She's never apologized for that. And the other lies that she embraced and pushed, that Donald Trump had trashed the men and women who had died in World War I during a solemn ceremony at a very important cemetery overseas. That was a lie, but Lynn Cheney clombed onto that as fast as she possibly could. You see, the Cheneys, the Bushes, the Paul Ryans, the Mitch McConnells, and the rest of them and their ilk, they want to try and grab power back. They use it in ways that are not effective in terms of pushing back against the American Marxists. They use it in ways to feather bed and take care of their own people and their own legacy, but they do not represent most of us. They have rejected the Reagan Revolution, they have rejected the Tea Party Revolution, they have rejected the Trump Revolution, and of course they reject every effort to secure our liberties in the Constitution. That's the nature of this element within the Republican Party. And they never accepted the 2016 election either.
Want to see more? Sign up for Levin TV.